Now, the Madlanga Commission will resume public proceedings on the 13th of October. This follows the sudden illness of Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo, prompting Justice Mbuyiseli Madlanga to adjourn the public hearings. The crime intelligence boss was expected to continue dropping bombshells following his second day of testimony, where he revealed WhatsApp messages that provided details into alleged organized crime. To unpack these developments, we are joined by Professor Dirk Kotzé. He's from the Department of Political Sciences at Unisa. Prof, always a pleasure. Thanks for your time.
Thanks very much. Good morning.
So I imagine, with a lot of people in terms of, explosive evidence. This is what we saw happening. We saw the adjournment, and, this is all because of a health scare. And many, I imagine, worrying that this is going to impact on the momentum or the testimony, and it's also bringing up pressures with safety and continuity of the evidence. These are just some of the feelings among South Africans. Perhaps you want to give us your thoughts on the adjournment.
Yes, I think what has happened now today is much unpredictable, I would say. But at the same time, I've been there a few times at the Commission. It looks like they are very well prepared in terms of these forms of evidence that they've provided. For example, it's clear that General Kumalo's evidence is wide-ranging. It's apparently something like 1,000 pages. They are only around about page 100 at the moment. So there's still a lot in the pipeline. But given the fact that they talk about bundles of evidence, it means for the Commission, it's already known what is in the pipeline. So it's not as if this is in a sense breaking news for us, but it is in terms of the preparations within the Commission, it's not the case. So it's not as if there's things that will not be heard because he's at the moment on sick leave, and also not that he is sort of holding back, I would say, on some of the evidence, because within their circles, this evidence is already known on paper, and the evidence leaders are actually using it for their own preparations. Yeah. So I think it is unlikely that it is because of external pressures, security pressures, and otherwise. I would think that the pressure on the witnesses in general has been quite tremendous to appear before this commission. All the tension that is there. The insecurities with respect to security in general for them also, and the fact that this is the first phase of the commission, so they start to get into a rhythm, which I think they are close to that already.
Yeah.
And at the same time, they have planned to take a break from this Friday. So it is only about one day earlier than planned.
Okay, so I mean, this is important things that you are revealing to us, just to keep the momentum and to know that this information has already been made available. But just from the public's point of view, I mean, there has been some very critical information that's been revealed by General Kumalo, especially on Tuesday. Would you say that Kumalo is a very critical feature in this Madlanga Commission, tying up and bringing together what's really been coming out? And I mean, these WhatsApp messages between Matlala and Mokgotsi, it's very, very big. And what General Kumalo has said is an infiltration of politics, law enforcement, and private security by a big five drug cartel.
Yes, his evidence is indeed exceptionally important. As I understand it, he was the convener of the political killings team. So he was right at the center of the work that they did. The role of crime intelligence in general is supposed to be that type of nature. So he is of absolutely critical importance. What he has done also is that he did not make only allegations. He was referring to WhatsApp messages that are in the possession of the police. So it is going to be, whatever is going to be the recommendation of the commission, this is concrete evidence that can be used in a court case or when in the case of the commission in order to reach their conclusions. It's therefore not simply allegations. Yes, it can still be tested in the form of cross examination, and that will take place in the second phase of the Commission's work. So it's not the end of the road once he completed this evidence also. But I think what is important for the public in general is to give them a sense of the content, of the nature of the relationship that existed, especially between persons like Kat Matlala and some of his persons working with him, as well as with the minister, Minister Mkhunu.
I'd like to also take a look and see, with regard to Advocate Matthew Chaskelson being appointed as the new Chief Evidence Leader of the Commission, obviously succeeding Advocate Terry Motao, SC. So I think, you know, obviously my first question to you was about the worry about Lieutenant General Khumalo falling ill. And I suppose a lot of people talking to this thinking, you know, is there interference? Has there been anything that, you know, has happened that's untoward? I mean, because we were hearing from media reports and reports coming out that Advocate Terry Motao's resignation did raise a little bit of credibility concerns for the Madlanga Commission with threats and all those rumors that are doing the rounds. Perhaps you want to talk to us about that and maybe link it to what we're seeing.
Yes, I think the announcement is, again, very important, especially from a public perspective. As I understand it, the matter about his continuation or participation in the Commission as the Chief Evidence Leader is not something which emerged recently, but it is for quite some time already in the pipeline. So it's not something about what happened, that there were some developments in the Commission or with respect to him that led to this. We will hopefully later on will really learn what exactly were those motivations for it. But I think Advocate Chaskelson, who has acted a number of times as judge already, he has been on the shortlist for Constitutional Court judge also. He was very much involved as an evidence leader in the Zondo Commission. He's of course, therefore, very highly experienced. And I would say he fills the space of Advocate Motao, I would say, very, very easily to a large extent. Each one of them bring their own contribution to the Commission, but it's not as if the Commission is now stalling, or that there's a vacuum, or that that they have to now redesign the functioning of the Commission because of the absence of Advocate Motao. So in that sense, I think it is not going to have a major impact. We've seen the number of evidence leaders. There's 5 or 6 of them. So it's not as if everything rests on the shoulders of the leader of the evidence team.
Yeah.
And in that respect, I think what we have seen, for example, the way in which the evidence is led now with General Kumalo, it is of a very high quality.
Yeah.
And all of that together gives me the impression, at least, or give me the belief that the Commission, from a procedural point of view, it's not in jeopardy.
Yeah, indeed, and that again also is very, very important to note. But I imagine that, you know, in terms of what we've been hearing at this commission and the vital and damning evidence that has been laid forth is a great worry. And, you know, with already seeing a little bit of, you know, instability and things happening, I think people start talking and start worrying about this. But I want to now just focus a little bit on the evidence that's been laid before us. From what you've heard, from what you've been seeing there, how dramatic is this evidence that we've heard so far?
Well, it is absolutely revealing and dramatic and concerning. I often nowadays talk about it as a version of state capture again, now in a contained environment, and that's mainly the criminal justice environment. But I think this is really the purpose of this commission. The terms of reference that the presidency determined, to a large extent, is all encompassing, because it's not only about what we hear, but now it includes the NPA must be part of the investigation, the State Security Agency, the Metro Police of the main metros in South Africa, and even other components, even the judiciary. So it is wide-ranging. And I think from that point of view, it's absolutely important that the Commission will be able to not be confined to the 6 months. I mean, I know the public wants it to be concluded as soon as possible. But given the importance of this commission, the terms of reference, and that they expose to us as the public exactly what is happening, has happened in the past in terms of possible relations between the executive, some ministers. We have heard now, I mean, obviously know about the death of Minister Nautim Tetwa, and it looks like there is some correlation also, although this will have to be confirmed over time. But it's an early stage, but it gives us an indication of the wide-ranging impact that this commission can have, and the way in which it can expose the possible infiltration or capturing, as some can call it, of the judiciary, possibly some elements in the judiciary, but specifically the executive, some ministers, and how that relates to their relationship with the top structures of the police and then with crimes syndicates. It is vitally important that this evidence or this information is exposed so that those activities can be stopped and serious action can be taken against them.
And that's, I think, what South Africans want to hear is that serious action will be taken. You bring up the late ambassador, and I know it's a very difficult conversation to have, certainly as family is mourning, as his colleagues are mourning his passing, and we're still looking at the circumstances around them. But his name was mentioned, and it was mentioned in a very harsh way by Mkhwanazi, saying that this was one of the highest levels of state capture in terms of the policing that he's seen, saying that he blocked disciplinary proceedings, he stopped criminal prosecutions against Richard Ndluli. Mkhwanazi described Ndluli's charges being withdrawn as bizarre and tied it back to alleged interference by Mtetwa. So the Commission obviously has been very silent on whether or not they had actually contacted Ambassador Mtetwa to appear. But, you know, this again raises a question mark over how much is actually going to happen thereafter when we're hearing so much interference at these high levels.
Yes, I think I would hope that this is going to be the consequence of this commission, even if not much is done in terms of official actions, charging of people in court, or that some persons are dismissed from their positions and so on. But it exposes, it cannot be hidden again. It cannot be saying it is untested evidence. It is purely speculation. This commission serves as a way in which, very similar to that of the Zondo Commission, of exposing it, making it known to the public, that the public is not anymore in the dark about what is happening, as well as it serves automatically as a form of deterrence. Because, for example, these crime syndicates, they are now exposed. They are not anymore able to do it secretly or behind the scenes when they deal with whoever their contact persons are. But everyone knows now this is their way in which they operate, and therefore, to a large extent, they can't hide it anymore. And I think if that is the case in the end, it will have a major impact on continuing with this type of modus operandi from the side of specifically the syndicates.
Well, Prof, it's been a pleasure speaking to you, Professor Dirk Kotzé of the Department of Political Sciences of Unisa, unpacking the Madlanga Commission. Now that commission is expected to resume on the 13th of October. And of course, they're saying that they need to take this break because some of the witnesses, and in particular the witness that we were hearing some of this scathing evidence from Lieutenant General Dumisani Khumalo took unwell yesterday and was not able to continue. So they were meant to already take a break from tomorrow, but they had to pull that a day earlier, so as Dirk Kotzé was explaining to us.